Dabling. So Rhett, welcome to Ask the Experts.
Thanks, Diane. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, let me introduce you to our audience really quickly for those who haven't had the pleasure of knowing you as long as I have. So Rhett has been the RootsTech Learning Manager since 2021 and loves to see people learn and succeed. Before RootsTech, he was the Global Training Manager for FamilySearch and was responsible for all internal training around the world. In his free time, Rhett loves to scuba dive, which I did not know, so I learned that today. Explore new places and learn new things. He enjoys spending time with family, working on home improvement projects, and having anxiety watching Yankees baseball.
That is true. Yep.
So yes, so Rhett and I go way back, just I guess since his involvement with FamilySearch, and I've been involved with FamilySearch for a lot of years as well. But mostly, I feel like he is my ally at RootsTech and has been for lots of years, and has gotten me out of a lot of scrapes in scheduling and things like that. And I'm just grateful to have you here and really excited to talk about RootsTech.
Yeah, again, thanks for having me. And Diane, I feel the same way. You've been a great friend and ally to FamilySearch and to RootsTech and to me, and you're a pleasure to work with and consistently one of our most popular speakers. So thank you for doing that.
Yes, of course. Okay, well, let's start at the beginning. And if you could just share with us how you found yourself involved with FamilySearch and RootsTech, what brought you here today?
All right. Well, my background is in instructional design, and before I was at FamilySearch, I worked for an airline, for JetBlue Airways, out of New York City, doing training for them. And so and we did all of that remotely. So our employees worked from home in our contact centers, and so I developed all the training for that. And somehow FamilySearch got wind of what we were doing, and they came knocking to see if I had any interest. And I was young, I had free flight benefits, and I was not interested. I could spend weekends wherever I wanted, and which was pretty awesome. But after a couple of attempts, we connected, and I went in and interviewed, and they said, well, why don't you think about it? And here I am. It's been 13 years, almost 13 years now. So I was brought over as the global training manager, developed all of that internal training, as you said. And when COVID hit, there was a position that opened up on the RootsTech team, and I was ready for a change. So I raised my hand and said, I think this is what I want to do. And it's been an adventure. It's been a lot of fun. I've got a little bit of ADHD in my brain, and so the chaos and all of the commotion and everything of RootsTech is pure dopamine for me, and I love it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad, because to me, I mean, I think I'm a little bit like you. Like, I do a little bit thrive in chaos. I like the busyness and the motivation it gives me to like hit deadlines and things like that. I'm not actually really productive when it's calm. But maybe, I mean, I'm interested. I hope everybody is. What exactly does it take to pull off an event at the scale of RootsTech when we're talking now, especially an online component as well as an in-person component?
Yeah, it's a huge undertaking, and it's a long and complicated process. We start way in advance. So RootsTech 2025 will happen in a couple of weeks, but we've already started talking about 2026 and the things that we would like to see happen with the event there. So I'm a data person. I spend a lot of time going through what we are seeing happening in the industry, all of the feedback that we gather from the previous RootsTech, and that's what helps shape those decisions that we'll make as we start planning. So what sort of things are we seeing with AI? What are those hot topics that we're going to need to address? And then who are those speakers that are going to be the most credible and respected, as well as fun to listen to, engaging, that we can invite to speak to those topics? We're looking for people who are credible and fun for that. So we do a lot of brainstorming, a lot of discussion as a team, and then we get into the nuts and bolts of it. So my role is specifically with classes, so all of the breakout sessions, and we'll just spend a lot of time just analyzing what do we need, what would be timely and relevant for people for this next year. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I have a lot of questions, but like, so can you give us an example of a learning you took from 2024 that you brought into 2025?
Yeah, so In 2024, we dipped our toes in an advanced and a beginner track at RootsTech. So we partnered with, for the beginner track, we partnered with Brigham Young University and their family history degree program, and we offered, I think it was 6 classes, and they were exclusively in person in Salt Lake City, and they were hugely successful. But overwhelming feedback said is you neglected the rest of the world, everyone that can't be in person. So we have made a huge effort this year to take that online. So we're partnering with BYU again, and this particular track will be available online. So for all of those beginner genealogists out in the world who are just curious, how do I even get started? How do I even wrap my mind around this? We will now have these online. And then on the other end of that scale, we've got our advanced and professional genealogists who have sometimes thought of RootsTech as not for me. It's more for the beginners, the casual genealogists. But last year we partnered with ICAP Gen and BCG, the 2 credentialing agencies, and they have built a track for us as well that we did last year. And this year we're also taking that online as well, so that people throughout the world can participate in those. And that's what we learned last year. One of the small things that we learned is that there's this appetite throughout the world, a lot of different skill levels and different goals.
Okay, so let's take that beginner track then that's online. So then that's just you register for RootsTech online and then you get hooked into that track. And is that going to be all 3 days, or how does that work? I would love everybody on the call. I know everybody that's here probably is already a genealogist, but I want us all, myself included, to commit today to email someone this beginner track and say, you should watch this, because we all need to be ambassadors for this work. And I love that this new beginner track is online. So walk us through, how do we share this with our friends?
Yeah, so there will be a beginner class each hour of RootsTech. So
Okay.
from 8 o'clock until 5:30 Mountain Time, there will be a new class happening on there that will be streamed to rootstech.org. If you go to rootstech.org, there is a page specific to this beginner track where you can, I'll find the link and I'll post it here so you can share that. But you can add all of those classes to it, or you can pick and choose which ones would be relevant to you. And you can share those links with your friends or family, whoever you think would benefit from those.
Okay, excellent. Guys, I want everybody, if we were in a room together, I would make you all raise your hand and commit that you were going to do this, but we are just as good as in a room together. Okay, I'm going to do this. I actually have a neighbor in mind who I want to share this with. So do this, you guys. These are amazing resources that RootsTech is providing for free to anyone who's interested, and it's our job to spark that interest. Okay, all right, excellent. And then Sunny has a question for you, Rhett.
Sure.
What is on that wall? Are those all sticky notes about RootsTech?
They are. So this is our in-person English schedule.
Oh my God.
So this is what's happening in the Salt Palace during those 3 days of RootsTech. So we will have 19 classrooms or 19 breakout rooms through the Salt Palace, and then there will be 14 what I call blocks of time. So 8 to 9, 9:30 to 10:30. So there's 14 of those throughout RootsTech. So that's what helps me keep everything straight. They're color coded, so I know what the topic is, or if they're sponsored, or if they're specific to AI or whatever. So this helps me keep things straight.
I love this so much. Okay, Barbara also has a question for you. Can we share this RootsTech resource through your genealogy newsletters?
Absolutely. We would welcome that. We would love it.
Yeah, so that's your second assignment, all of you. If you have any contact with your genealogy society, which you should, you need to reach out to whoever sends out your monthly, hopefully, emails and let them know they better be putting this link in their email. So thanks. Good question. Excellent. Yeah. All right. All right. I would love to hear a behind the scenes story about RootsTech coming together this past year. As you said, and I've experienced this myself, putting on much smaller events. Those little, I like to call them miracles that happen that make things come together. But we would love to hear a story from you about what's made this year possible.
I would have to say it's our team. The RootsTech team itself is pretty small. I think there's like 12 or so of us. But we're part of FamilySearch, and it takes the entire organization to put this on. So during the week of RootsTech and leading up to it, every FamilySearch employee becomes a RootsTech, a member of the RootsTech team. And it's really cool to see how everyone jumps into their assignments. They're excited to, whether they're working with speakers or participants or whatever the case may be, but to see everyone come together under a common goal and unite under that goal is really cool. So as you mentioned, 2021 was my first year in this role, and I was pretty convinced that after a year of planning, none of our speakers were going to show up, and it was just going to be a disaster. All of the rooms would be empty, but of course it didn't. It came together beautifully, and I am so grateful for our speakers who support us and just do everything they can to make this an amazing experience. And then a huge thanks to the FamilySearch team that also does the same thing. They just come together in a beautiful way to make sure that we're giving participants something that they can learn from, something they can benefit from, and make connections through.
Yeah. Well, it does that. I'm sure if we brought on those who are listening, they could share their own connection stories. And if you have one, we'd love to hear them in the comments, a connection that you've made through the RootsTech event. We would love to hear your experience, and I'd love to share some of those with Rhett. I know personally, it's really motivating to hear from people who have benefited from all of your work. It motivates us to do more and better. And so I'm sure Rhett could use a little extra motivation over the next 2 weeks as he strives to get this year's event on board. So I'll let you put some of those in the comments while I ask his next question here. So can you tell us a success story you know of that has come out of this RootsTech event?
This particular, this year?
Any year.
Any year. So I would say probably the pandemic year, 2021. So we were in person 2020, and 5 or 6 days after the conference ended, the world changed. It shut down. And we had been slowly creeping toward taking more of RootsTech online. But in 2020, I think we had 30,000 people in Salt Lake. And that was it. You could buy a special pass to view a few classes online, but it was pretty limited. But 2021, when the world changed, it forced us to do, I would say, probably 10 years worth of growth in 1 year. We took what had essentially been an in-person conference and put it online. And there were some bumps. We learned a lot. But the growth that we saw and the number of people that we were able to connect with was truly, it was a miracle. We went from 30,000 people to millions of people in 1 year. And we wouldn't have done that without COVID. So I would say that is probably one of the biggest things that I have seen since I've been part of the team. And as hard and as bad as that period of time was, it really was a time of miracles. We were able to see people come together, and we were able to just really change the way we approach this.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like the reach. I feel like, you know, I've been coming to RootsTech since it was a thing. Like back when I was part of the Sorensen Molecular Genealogy Foundation, I was working the Sorensen booth at RootsTech. And I remember feeling like it was cutting edge and innovative and exciting to be there then. And then to see how it's grown, and now to see just like you said, millions of people are being reached by this content and are being changed and being motivated and encouraged to tell their family stories and find their people. It's so exciting. It's so exciting.
Yeah. And I'll just add that with this year, we will live stream 5 of the classrooms from the Salt Palace online, in addition to 4 or 5 webinars that will be happening each hour. So there will be a lot for you to choose from if you're joining RootsTech on rootstech.org. And then if you're in person as well, you've still got all of those options as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got some comments here from 310 Scrapper. Relatives at RootsTech is working for me this year. Yes. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
We have this this little, if you could address this, if you feel like, and I know I hear this a lot, people have this FamilySearch family tree that's not quite right. What's your recommendation? Like, how do people work with this global online tree in a way that benefits everyone. What are your suggestions?
Well, I don't want to steal the thunder from some of our classes, one of our classes that will be happening this year, but there will be one that is specifically about working in a shared family tree and the things you can do to safeguard your information and just really protect the work that you've done. So I'm trying to pick that out on here, but there is one on there that will be sponsored by FamilySearch that addresses this exact question. We know that this is a thing when you're using our tree.
Cool. Oh, great.
And,
Well, we'll look for that class then. And you can always come back and comment if you come
okay.
up with it, and you can put it under the video. Kathy says she's made connections with distant relatives through relatives at RootsTech, people she would just never have known existed, which is always exciting to find new cousins. Yep, Alex has also had a good experience with relatives at RootsTech. We encourage that a lot because it helps so much with your DNA testing to like find those cousins that need to test or to connect with people you see on your DNA match page. You can search for them in relatives at RootsTech and hopefully connect with them there, maybe where you haven't been able to connect with them through your DNA testing company. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I think we're just about 208,000 people so far that have opted in to relatives at RootsTech, and that will grow quite a bit.
That's awesome. All right. We have a question about I don't know if this is in person or virtual, but what are your tips for a first time attendee to RootsTech? It can be overwhelming, right? Because you do have so many classes.
Yeah. So there are about 550 classes that will be happening this year between the Salt Palace and the website. So my recommendation would be is make a plan. If you're attending in person, the Salt Palace is a big building. It is large. So wear comfortable shoes. It can be cooler in the morning than the afternoon, so dress in layers. If you're joining online, plan for breaks. You allow yourself to get up and step away from your computer. As much as we want you to sit there all day and taking in all of these wonderful classes, give your brain a break and plan for those things. Anything that is online will be recorded for you, so you can consume that at any time as well.
Yeah, because online classes are available for what duration?
General rules about 3 years, or unless they become outdated sooner.
Okay, great.
The other thing that I would just add is that keep an eye on the schedule. Things change. We're trying to limit those changes as much as we possibly can, but we may end up swapping a session from one room to another if we're seeing that it needs more seats. So just keep an eye on that on the app, just to make sure you're in the right place at the right time.
Excellent. Yeah. So for those of you who love paper, and I love paper, has a place in my life too. But when we're talking about a moving target, like an in-person experience at a conference, it really is best to plan everything out on the app, and you can create your own schedule on the app. So you would like search for Diane among the speakers, then you can add all of my classes to your schedule. And then it will show up in your schedule so you know exactly where to go. And then if Rhett decides to change which room I'm in, then it'll be there on the app. And you'll just check that like right before you go. That way you'll always have the most up-to-date information. So
right.
Yeah, let them use the technology they've created to communicate to us the changes that just inevitably have to be made when we're talking about an event that's this size.
Yep.
So yeah.
I would avoid printing out the schedule.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay. I think it's Devine or Divine says, I love FamilySearch and I always look forward to all the wonderful classes offered at RootsTech.
Good. Thank you.
There's a good.
Let me know how we do this year.
Yes. Anna is coming for the first time. She's counting down the days. So that's
Anna, I'm curious where you're coming from. Welcome to Salt Lake City.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, let me ask you another question here that we had talked about. I want to know, what is one of your favorite moments at RootsTech, one you look forward to every year, and yeah, the end doesn't count.
The entire thing is a fun event, but I think what I look forward to the most is that first day when people are coming into the building and the air is electric. That we've got thousands of people coming in that all have the same goals, that are seeking for connections with their families in whatever way that means for them. Um, Honestly, I think that's how we get through the 18-hour days that happen during RootsTech. I love seeing the smiles, and I love when people tell me how much they loved a session or how much they loved a speaker, or that through something that they learned in a session, they were able to break through a brick wall or find a missing family member, whatever it is. I love hearing those success stories.
Yeah,
It makes it all worth it. I love it.
100%.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's awesome. It never gets old.
I agree. Amanda has a question about the exhibit halls online. Like, is there a way for people who are virtual to interact at all with the exhibitors?
Yeah, each exhibitor booth should have a chat feature attached to it where you can reach out and connect with those exhibitors, ask questions and get those answered. A lot of the exhibitors will have deals in their booth, other resources. Diane, you'll probably have some classes and materials in there that people can learn from. So I would just encourage you to spend some time going through the expo hall, looking at those people and organizations that will help you with your goals.
Absolutely. Yeah. So your DNA Guide has a virtual booth, so you can visit us virtually. We will be manning our chat during all the mountain time hours of RootsTech. So from whatever the exhibit hall hours are in mountain time, that's the time we will also be virtually in the booth answering your questions. And then we have plans to broadcast on our social media channels as well, different clips and little Q&As and things like that from RootsTech. So if you're joining us virtually, so if you're following me, your DNA Guide, on our social media channels, you can submit questions and then I can answer your questions. I'll be answering some questions live. And I'm sure a lot of exhibitors are doing that. So if you look at that list of exhibitors and you're like, oh, I'd really like to learn more about this company, yes, you can visit their virtual booth, but also probably they'll be talking about stuff they're doing on their social media channels as well. So follow them on social media too. It's such a fun atmosphere to be in person, but we know not everyone can come, and so we really do try to make it fun for those, like, hashtag not at RootsTech.
Yeah, yeah,
So
you do a great job. Thank you for doing that.
yeah. Okay. And Shelly has a logistical question. When will badge pickup open?
It will open in person on Wednesday afternoon. So you can come to the Salt Palace. The check-in area will be right inside the main entrance on the east side of the building. You just come in those doors, you can pick it up. I think it's about noon on Wednesday after that.
Okay, excellent. All right, let's talk about when it is over. Like, I feel like we have kind of a semi-adopted son who's this is his first year being an official CPA, and so like we're experiencing kind of as a family for the first time what it feels like to be in a job where you're so like dedicated for a very, I mean, you work all year, of course, but then there's a time when like all hands are on deck, right? To like get a certain thing
Absolutely.
done by a certain deadline. Anyway, so we're experiencing that for the first time now. But I'm wondering, how does your team celebrate when it is all over? Like, do you all take the week after Roots Tech off, or like what happens?
So another one of my favorite parts of RootsTech happens Saturday evening. So after the conference is concluded, and we've torn down the expo hall, and people have left the building, the core RootsTech team usually gathers in a corner of the expo hall. We order a bunch of desserts from one of our favorite local restaurants, and we talk. We talk about the challenges we saw, the things we enjoyed, but mostly we talk about the miracles that we saw, the connections that were made, the doors that were opened, those things that people tell you when they run into you in the concourse about their experience, hearts that were touched or healed or connections made. It's those things that we talk about that evening when we're all just so exhausted from the conference that is really, really rewarding, and I love it.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably that's how we celebrate that night. But then to answer your question, we will usually work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of the next week because we'll want to start collecting data, and our senior leadership team is really curious to see how things have come. But then, yeah, we'll take the rest of that week off and then go on vacation or something to recover a little bit.
Yeah, and then 2026 planning just
It
keeps
does, yeah.
going. Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
usually go to Mexico and do some scuba diving after RootsTech, so
Oh, lovely, lovely. Well, that sounds very nice.
it's nice.
Maybe
Yeah.
you'll have to tell me all the places you go. We're trying to plan a trip. My daughter just got certified, so we're trying to
Oh,
figure out
awesome.
where to take her.
Well, the second largest barrier reef in the world is just off the coast of
Oh,
Yucatan Peninsula, so it's great
boy,
diving.
okay. I just wanted to share this from June. She likes your football is offset with the baseball, but baseball's your true love. Is that?
It is. Emmett Smith was one of our keynotes several years ago, and so the football is signed by him.
I see. So there's even a connection to RootsTech.
There is. Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Well, as we're kind of closing up here, I just wanted to again express our gratitude as a community to FamilySearch and to you specifically. But this is just a tremendous service that you do for our community, and it is such a pleasure to be a part of it in any way that we can. And I'm just so grateful for the work that FamilySearch does and how much it's trying to do still and expand the reach and the impact of family history. So please accept all of our collective thanks for the work you guys are doing. And then I'd love to know why this work is so important to you.
Thank you. That's a great question, and I think I've answered it in some ways with some of the other questions. But really, for me, there's a lot of strength in connections in family. I can look back through my family's stories and see the hard things that they have done, that they overcame, and then I know that that DNA is running through me as well, and that they are part of me, and I can draw strength from them. And then it so that's why it's important to me personally, but all of us have those same connections, whether our families relationships are strained or not. We can draw strength from the stories and the connections that we can find with family, even if it's an adopted family or a chosen family. There's a lot of power there, and I love being able to share that with others.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. I love that you're pointing out that there are so many kinds of connections in so many different kinds of families, and they all provide a different level of strength and encouragement to all of us. And I love that we're just kind of tuning in and being a little more aware of the different ways that we support each other and trying to make sure we're documenting all of those different ways, right? All the
Yeah.
people that have affected all of us. So, yeah.
Yeah, we over the last year, I've seen a lot of people comment that they're feeling stressed or down or whatever.
Mhm.
Mental health is a challenge, and um, just to plug it, there's going to be several classes that will be talking about the connection between mental health and knowing who you are and through your family history. So, if that's something that appeals to you, check those out. I'm really excited about them.
Good. I'm excited about that too. I'm actually going to ask you for that list because I want to go
Okay.
to this. I'm very
Yeah.
interested in that topic. Okay, well, we have hit our 30 minutes with Rhett. We need to let him go and do all the other things that he needs to do. I need to go and do all the other things I need to do because we still have a lot to prepare for RootsTech as well. So again, if you're coming in person to RootsTech, please, please, please come by our booth. As you enter the exhibit hall and you look to your left, you'll see the massive Ancestry booth, and then we're right next door. So just in the exhibit hall to the left, and you'll see us, your DNA guide, over there next door to Ancestry's booth. And we would love to meet you in person and to hear your stories and to hear your wins and your questions. And then if you're joining us virtually, like I said, please visit our virtual booth at RootsTech and then watch our social media. We do have big plans to share and try to make you feel as involved in it as a part of this as possible. We are also hosting a free webinar after RootsTech in case you didn't get enough learning. That will be an extension on my 3 classes. So all 3 of my classes will be live streamed, so you can join us no matter if you're virtual or not. And then we're offering a 4th class that will help you just kind of tie up those 3 classes at the end. So that will be the week after RootsTech. If you didn't quite get enough learning and you want to join us, that's a free webinar. And you can find out how to sign up for all of that stuff on our website. So thank you for joining us, Rhett. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for sharing all that you're doing with us as this event has got to take so much work. And I'm just so grateful that you're part of it and that you're leading this charge to take the beauty of family history really to the world. And I just love being a part of that.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And if any of you see me around the Salt Palace, I would love to say hi as well. Tell me about your experiences.
Yeah. Stop them and at least say hello and thank you. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.